20 years ago, someone in Vermont offered me the opportunity to live in their home for a few months, rent-free. And I thought, free rent and unlimited access to the best maple syrup in the world? I'm in. And over the past 2 decades, I've developed what some might call an obsession with Vermont maple syrup. Like, genuinely. I have a video coming out that explains why Vermont produces the best maple syrup in the world. Here, I'll give you a taste. This sludge in a bottle is what AI would create if you asked it to make maple syrup. At least the bottle has the decency to be honest with us and advertise what it actually is. A sad excuse for what is arguably the most magnificent nectar nature can provide. Honestly, if you've never had real maple syrup, stay tuned for that video because you'll never eat that other stuff again. But my Vermont origin story also reveals something else about me. I'm not a 7th generation Vermonter. I know, but I would like to formally apply for honorary status, not just because I can identify real maple syrup blindfolded, that's actually for another video, but because I have eaten so many Creemees this summer that my pancreas has filed a formal complaint. If that doesn't qualify me, seriously, I have eaten an irresponsible number of Creemees in the last few months. But this is not a cry for help. It's a review series. And I have opinions. These reviews are also based on personal preference. What I like in a maple flavor may be different to what you like. Every Creemee stand in this review series is worth your time and your money. So go visit all of them. Vermont didn't invent the Creemee. Chicago did. Vermont just took it, put maple syrup in it, and said, yeah, that's ours now. And honestly, it doesn't get more Vermont than that. But before we get into that, we need to talk about the word itself.
I was getting so many Instagram reels from this guy who makes these Creemees, I guess they're called. I hate that word. I hate using that word, but I'm gonna have to say it so many times during this section.
Yeah, Drew, I get it. Try saying it for an entire video, and then however many videos it takes to complete this series after that. Although, to be fair, Vermont spelling makes a lot more sense than whatever Ninja was going for, and there's actually a reason for that. The word Creemee, spelled this way, traces back to 1951, when a Chicago company called Freeze King started franchising soft-serve stands under the name Creemee. By 1955, there were over 1,400 of them nationwide, including several right here in Vermont. The maple part came later, in 1981, at the Vermont State Fair in Rutland. Local maple producers already had their own Creemee machine at the fair, and Seward's Dairy had been supplying their mix for vanilla Creemees, which were served with pure maple syrup poured on top. But in 1981, Blake Roy, a retired maple marketing specialist for the Vermont Department of Agriculture, suggested adding maple syrup directly into the soft serve mix. The result was a hit. The spelling was tweaked, and the maple Creemee became one of Vermont's most iconic culinary delights. Sounds sophisticated, doesn't it? Well, there's no sophistication in eating one of these things. And reviewing them? Well, you can toss your dignity right out the window. Reviewing a Creemee sounds like the best job in the world. And it is, except for one thing. A Creemee is not a patient dessert. You have approximately 90 seconds between perfect swirl and structural collapse. I have lost too many good maple Creemees to bad timing. It haunts me. So, I developed a system. Every Creemee in this series gets scored on a scale of 1 to 5 swirls based on flavor, texture, and overall cohesion. Meaning, does the maple taste like actual maple syrup? Does the texture hold up long enough to eat it with dignity? And does the whole thing come together as a unified experience worth driving to Vermont for? Well, there's a lot worth driving to Vermont for. But each stand also gets extra points for offering sugar cones, because a sugar cone is the correct vessel for a Creemee. It's petite, it's delicate, it encourages a sensible serving size. It also doesn't look and taste like cardboard. Why does anybody eat these wafer cones? Seriously, y'all, stop eating these. There are better cones out there. And if I suspect they're using fake maple syrup, automatic 1 swirl deduction. No appeal, no exceptions. I didn't eat this many Creemees this summer to let imitation syrup slide. And I didn't move all the way to Vermont for you to serve me log cabin in my Creemee. I do want to remind everyone that this is a friendly competition. You should try every Creemee stand you can find when you visit Vermont. Palmer Lane in Jericho, Vermont is our first stop. And they set the bar high. And if you're making the trip, you're already in one of the most beautiful corners of the state. And there's loads to do here. Just up the road in Underhill, you can access hiking trails to Mount Mansfield, Vermont's highest peak. And a little insider tip, pay attention to the difficulty level of the trail, because that hike to Sterling Pond in my last video is categorized as moderate. We have a little ways to go. Yeah, this trail. Trust me, it's well worth it. But there are trails all over the area for every skill level. including one of my personal favorite hidden gems, complete with a swimming hole. I'm not going to tell you where it is, because then it would be a hidden gem. But there is one hidden gem in Underhill that I'm sure the owners of won't mind me highlighting before we get to our Creemee. This is Poorhouse Pies. Don't let the size fool you. This place is a local favorite. People drive from all over for their unique selection of sweet and savory pies. In fact, I really wanted one of these maple cream pies, but given the number of Creemees I've eaten this week, I decided to honor my pancreas's vacation request. While I was filming, I did overhear some customers asking about the banana cream pie. Apparently you have to special order this one, so it's best to call before you go to make sure they have the pie you want. And the earlier the better. This place opens at 7 a.m. and by the time I got there around 1, many flavors had already sold out. I put a link to Poorhouse Pies in the description if you just want to browse their selection or grab some merch. And I mean it when I say support local. I want you to visit every Creemee stand, every farm stand, every roadside mom and pop stop in the state. Vermont small businesses are what make Vermont, well, Vermont. And these are good people making great things, and that matters. So please go support these people and tell them I sent you. Actually, I've been to Palmer's so many times trying to get the perfect Creemee footage. You can just tell them that that lady obsessed with maple Creamees sent you. They'll know who I am. Oh, and when you visit Palmer Lane, please go into the actual store because they specialize in all things maple. I am kind of addicted to these maple candies, and I will go over all of the maple making process in my maple syrup video. Please stay tuned for that. There are links to Palmer Lane Maple in the description. You can order anything online. Well, except for the Creemees. I don't think they'll make it out of state. No one should be left without real maple syrup if I have anything to do about it, so please click the link and try one of their many pure Vermont maple products. I've actually spoken to the current owner a few times, and Dan informed me that he and his wife Jessica purchased Palmer Lane last July, but they did not change the Creemee recipe, and I can attest to that. I mean, there's a reason Palmer Lane has won the locals pick for best Creemee in the state for the past 5 years in a row, and I'm about to show you why. There she is, the best maple Creemee in Vermont. It's already holding the ribbon. It's 81 degrees outside and this thing's not melting. All right, let's try the first bite. Yeah, the maple flavor in the Palmer Lane Maple Creemee has real depth, okay? It doesn't hit you over the head. You can definitely taste it. It's maple forward, but the maple flavor builds. It lets the cream do its thing first, and then the maple builds with it. And by the time it lingers, you realize it's been there the whole time. And Palmer Lane uses a blend of dark and light maple syrup, and I think that's what gives their maple flavor such complexity. It's earthy, it's almost caramel adjacent. The maple syrup is the superstar of this Creemee. It just doesn't do it like an entitled influencer. It's not sweet for the sake of being sweet, and that's what real maple syrup does. The texture is where Palmer Lane separates itself. It has a dense coating, it's substantial. Yeah, this Creemee doesn't just pass through your palate, it coats your entire palate. It settles in. It's creamy. That's the whole promise of a Creemee. So look at this clean melt. It shouldn't be watery or icy. It should do exactly that. The maple flavor gets a 5 out of 5 swirls. The texture gets a 5 out of 5 swirls. And overall, this is just an excellent Creemee. Everything is well balanced and works together. And the only reason Palmer Lane is getting a 4.9 out of 5 swirls rather than a 5 out of 5 swirls is they don't offer sugar cones. Because honestly, why does anybody eat these wafer cones? These taste like cardboard. This is also a personal preference. I prefer the blended maple flavor that Palmer Lane uses rather than strictly a dark or a light syrup. But I'll get into that as the Creemee series continues. So stay tuned. Will I find a Creemee better than Palmer Lane and Jericho? Let's find out.
Let's find out.
Please hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Turn on all notifications so you don't miss my next video. Share this video with a friend. Don't forget to hit the like button. And until next time, stay unleashed and stay creamy. No, that's I can't say that. Can I? A huge thanks to Poorhouse Pies for letting me film there, as well as Palmer Lane Maple for all of the insider Creemee information. Next stop, Shelburne Country Store. The bar has been set. Let's see what they got. Thanks for watching. Oh shit, was it not recording that whole time?